Shalom and welcome. Welcome to the White Roads Family Channel. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah, and I present words that I'm compelled to present before an awakening, set-apart nation. To those who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father, who I am compelled to call Yahuah, who manifests His word before us in the name of Yahusha. No Trinity. Yahusha just is a reflection of Yahuwah's word and His plan for redemption into fellowship with Him. Why? By the virgin birth, by His demonstrations walking among us, by His sacrifice, His resurrection, and that we will discover that, as John 14:26 states, that Yahuwah sent His Spirit in Yahusha's name. Yahusha's name reflecting His word, communications with the Almighty Father, salvation, being born again, which many do not fully understand. So some will say we're not born again until the transformation time. But they fail to discern the life and what that means. In this series of inline segments that I have lined up, queued up for you, O Yashar'al, this title is Layers and Better. Layers and Better. You see, I will present the case why it is important to know what these words represent as we find ourselves navigating through chaos, confusion, uncertainty, civil unrest, economic upheaval. We're not alone. And we will find ourselves coming closer together, those of like mind, those who will fulfill the final exodus, and so much more. I present the case why you, yes you, are very important to the set-apart body of the children of Yahuwah. You're not insignificant. And whether someone speaks to you every day or come towards you every day, you are a part of the body of the set-apart children of Yashar'al. Yes, you whose spirit is being stirred to receive the words that are sent from the Almighty Father. Yes, you're very important. These words are to you who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father. So let no one, in any case, in any wise, make you think you are not significant. Whether you think of yourself among the least or among the highest, you matter. Knowledge will prove that perceptions tend to define the measurement of a person. Come, let's see how this has anything to do with the subject, layers and better. You see, there was a time when the taught ones were trying to vie for positions and stuff. There were times, and there are times today, where different ones want to be seen more than others or appear to be better than others, notwithstanding the importance of layers. There are layers to this body, this set-apart body of Yashar'al. Let me take you through some exercises to stir your spirit and get you to thinking. What do you see? What would be the greatest achievement if you were shooting at the object? In other words, if you look at this, my brothers and sisters, if you're not looking and you're just listening, what I'm showing is a target. And usually the greater score goes to the person that hits closest, or if not, hit the bullseye. A target. But notice that the rings outside of it, each one of them shows progression. The closer you get to the target, the bullseye, the better. So even sometimes in layers, like for this target, it helps you to center. It helps you to focus. It motivates you to be more precise in your shooting if you were trying to get the highest score. Keep that in mind and hold on, my brothers and sisters. What do you see now? What comes to mind? Are there sections or lines that are greater than the others? Are there parts? And if you're not looking, I'm showing a wheel. What comes to mind when you imagine or envision a wheel? Hold that thought, my brothers and sisters. Now, what do you see? What do you think of this image? I'm showing the eyes of an individual. If you're not looking and you're listening, I'm showing the eyes. What do you see? What do you envision if you're listening? When I say I'm showing eyes, what do you think of that image of eyes? You see, my brothers and sisters, whether a target, a wheel, or eyes, each one is a different picture. But I submit to you, there's something purposeful that can be gained and learned, my brothers and sisters. Bear with me a second. There's something purposeful that can be gained or learned. With each of these images, they all would require a goal to be most effective. Identifying purpose. Come with me as I present the following. You see, even in the target, it requires eyes, discipline, focus in order to hit the bullseye. The goal is to hit the bullseye. The discipline and processes is the posture you take and whatever weapon or instrument you're using to try to hit the bullseye. The thought processes. You see, sometimes we act in a way we don't give thought to all the little details and intricacies. But every one of those are required to be successful. A wheel, if you take out some of the spokes, will not roll right. There are things to consider in the wheel. Every layer of the wheel collectively makes the wheel. The eyes are merely a lens that transmit signals to our brain. Every layer of our body is important. We take them for granted because sometimes we say they're so simple. But try losing components of a body and see whether it's a distraction or it brings about pain or regret. Let's take a moment to visit Proverbs 29:18. Proverbs 29:18 say, where there is no vision, the people are let loose. Some translations say perish. Blessed is he who guards the Torah. There must be vision. And if we have tunnel vision where we zero in on just the fingertip, where then is there a place for recognizing the rest of the finger, the hand, the wrist, the forearm, the elbow, all the members of the body? My brothers and sisters, come with me to Habakkuk 2:1-3. It reads, I stand at my watch and station myself on the watchtower to wait to see what he says to me and what to answer when I am reproved. And Yahuwah answered me and said, write the vision and inscribe it on tablets, so that he who reads it runs. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. And if it speaks of the end and does not lie, if it lingers, wait for it. For it shall certainly come, and it shall not delay. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters. the importance of understanding the layers of processes and details. Notice that Habakkuk talked about watching, waiting to see. Notice that he mentioned the word reproof, understanding that he may did it wrong. And he's eager to get it right. He's eager to yield to what Yahuwah has to say regarding the matter. And he's eager or desires to obey the Almighty Father. And he is told to write it down. All of these processes and details to get to what he was expecting or ordered to do represents layers, not one more important than the other. My brothers and sisters, escape the disputes and battles of who is most important. Do not grumble on the positions of the body of Yashar'al, for the positions we see today may change as we come closer together. Certain disciplines will require working together to fulfill the 144,000 in great multitude. It will not be some massive, confused bunch. It will be a set-apart nation, awakened, disciplined, refined, and continuously guided by the Spirit of the Almighty Father. Come with me to 1 Corinthians 1, verse 20 and 21. 1 Corinthians 1, 20 and 21 says, where is the wise? Where is the scholar? Where is the debater of this age? Has not the Almighty One made foolish the wisdom of this world? For since in the wisdom of the Almighty One, the word through wisdom did not know the Almighty One, it pleased the Almighty One through foolishness of preaching to save those who believe. The world through the wisdom. It say, let me reread that. For since in the wisdom of the Almighty One, the world through wisdom did not know the Almighty One. It's talking about, so the world's wisdom didn't know the Almighty One. It pleased the Almighty One through the foolishness of preaching to save those who believe. You see, my brothers and sisters, the Almighty Father knew there would be layers, and each layer would be to be important. But I say to you, every layer represents a better you, a better Yashar'al, not one layer over the other, not the bullseye over the outer ring, not the rubber tire around the rim with spokes missing. We are codependent on one another by the link of the Spirit of Yahuwah working in us to speak through us one towards another. And if you skip down to the 26th verse, same chapter, first chapter, 1 Corinthians, 26 to 29 say, for look at your calling, brothers, that there were not many wise according to the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble. But the Almighty One has chosen the foolish matters of the world to put to shame the wise. And the Almighty One has chosen the weak to the world to put to shame the strong. And the Almighty One has chosen the lowborn of the word and the despised and the ones that are not, that he might bring the naught to naught, the ones that are, so that no flesh should boast in his presence. He will make those who think they're wise look foolish. And those who admit that they don't know will be those who will come to know and prove wisdom. For out of their humility will come the wisdom of set-apartness. Ezekiel 13:3 said, thus said the Master Yahuwah, woe to the foolish prophet who are following their own spirit without having had a vision. You see, people take on that habit when it comes to layers, thinking that they know which ones are more important, what's greater than the next. Take out a few pins out of your spinal cord and see how easy is it to walk. So should we not take that unseemly part, that pin, that bone, that between the vertebrae, linking them together? Should we be mindful of the least? Should we be mindful of the collective? Come with me, my brother, my sister, to Romans 12, 1 through 8. Romans 12, 1 through 8 says, I call upon you, therefore, brothers, through the compassion of the Almighty One, to present your bodies a living offering, set apart, well-pleasing to the Almighty One, your reasonable service. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you prove what is good and well-pleasing and perfect desire of the Almighty One. For I say, through the favor which has been given to me, to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he should think, but to think soberly as the Almighty One has given to each one a measure of belief. For as we have many members in one body, but all members do not have the same function, so we the many, one body in Messiah, and members each one of one another. Now having different gifts according to the favor which was given to us, let us use them accordingly. Is prophecy according to proportion of our belief? If serving, in serving, or he who is teaching, in teaching, or he who encourages, in encouragement, or he who is sharing, in sincerity, he who is leading, in diligence, he who shows compassion joyously. Many members, many layers, but Yashar'al, the importance. It's time for us to understand the collective, the discipline and refinement that we receive from the Almighty Father is for a purpose, to bring the layers of the body together, to show better, not one layer, not one member better than the other, not one layer better than the other, but together. Together we make the set-apart nation of Yashar'al, those who are drawn by him, those who have come to know his word, which comes in Yahusha's name. Come with me to 2 Corinthians 6:16 through 18. It says, and what union has the dwelling place of the Almighty One with idols? For you are a dwelling place of the living Almighty One. As the Almighty One has said, I shall dwell in them, walk among them. I shall be their Almighty One, and they shall be my people. Therefore, my brothers and sisters, come out from among them and be separate, says Yahuwah, and do not touch what is unclean, and I shall receive you. I shall be a father to you, and you shall be sons and daughters to me, says Yahuwah, the Almighty One. Collectively, my brothers and sisters, and we will witness that no matter what layer we're looking at that is part of the set-apart family of Yahuwah, it is the collective that makes for better. And it is the spirit, the might of the Almighty Father working in each of us, one towards another. You see, by the Spirit of the Almighty Father dwelling in us, it would be wrong to think one person is better than the other. We rarely know ahead of time who the Almighty Father Yahuwah will choose for a specific task or purpose. But let us walk with a ready mind to discern, to listen, to respond, to yield. When we do that, it can make a difference how we treat the layers and how we recognize how to reach better. This is one of the reasons we are instructed to pray without ceasing, to hear, to speak, to identify, to confirm, to reaffirm, to yield to correction and refinement. Remember, he dwells in us. Every layer of set-apartness is important. Let us take a look at 1 Thessalonians 5, 16 to 23. 1 Thessalonians 5, 16 to 23. It reads, rejoice always. Pray without ceasing. That means continual communication, having a ready mind to hear as well as speak as the Almighty Father stirs our spirit. Sometimes that's directly and sometimes through a brother or sister. It says, in all circumstances give thanks, for this is the desire of the Almighty One and Messiah, Yahusha, for you. Do not quench the spirit. Do not despise prophecies. Prove them all. Hold fast what is good. Keep back from every form of wickedness. And the Almighty One of peace himself set you completely apart, and your entire spirit and being and body be preserved blameless at the coming of our Master Yahusha Messiah. The Almighty Father sets us apart from every form of wickedness. And some will yield and obey forthwith, right away, and some it will be a result of discipline. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, there are many layers to the set-apart body. We are guided by He who is the Almighty One, Yahuah, His living word, which comes in the name of Yahusha. I cannot stress that and emphasize that enough. For we will discover the importance of lifting up Yahusha, the word of Yahuah. For it is He that will draw us together. It is He that pulls the layers together. It is He that produces better, a better you, a better me, a better us. Consider reading John 12:32, where Yahusha say, if I be lifted up, I will draw all men to myself. Let us learn that that means out of our obedience to the Almighty Father, to His word, to His living guidance and orders. Out of obedience, we lift up the word, His word, Yahusha. And it is He who draws us together. It is He who makes intercessions for us through the blood, through the Spirit, by the will of He who is the Almighty One, Yahuah. You see, when we say Yahuah, one should think of His Spirit everywhere at all times. And when we say Yahusha, we should think of His word communicating with us so that we understand and know what we should be doing. I submit to you, it would be to our best interest to recognize that layers and better will demand that collectively we reach better. In other words, though we are many, we who are set apart are all better together than alone. You matter, O Yashar'al. You are important. Let no one tell you differently. We all require refinement and discipline, but that doesn't mean we don't matter, for we are the part of the body that must and will be recognized. 1 Corinthians 12:12 through 20. I want to read this, my brothers and sisters. For as the body is one and has many members, but all members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is the Messiah. For indeed by one Spirit we were all immersed into one body, whether Yehudim or Greek, whether slaves or free, and we were all made to drink into one Spirit. Now I want to let you know that the inward man is not labeled by Yehudim or Greek. The inward man is labeled by the set-apart Spirit of Yahuah that comes in Yahusha's name. But we must recognize the physiological identity of the 12 tribes in order that Revelation 7 chapter is fulfilled. In order to recognize the power of Yahuah, bringing His chosen children and drawing the sojourner, grafting them together as one in Yahusha by His word. In other words, because He says so. For indeed the body is not one member but many. If the foot says because, listen to this. If the foot says because I am not a hand, I do not belong to the body, Does it therefore not belong to the body? Now, regardless of what the foot says, it's still a part of the body. 16 says, and if the ear says, because I am not an eye, I do not belong to the body, does it therefore not belong to the body? It's still a part of the body. If all the body was an eye, where would the hearing? If all hearing, where would be the smelling? But now the Almighty One has set the members, each one of them, in the body, even as he pleased. And if they all had been one member, where would the body be? And now there are indeed many members, but one body. Yashar'al, Yashar'al. Share this passage, 1 Corinthians 12 to 12:20, specifically 15 and 16. 12, 15, and 16. Share that with somebody when they start saying, I do me, you do you, don't worry about me. If they claim to be a set-apart child of Yahuah, if they claim to be a member of the body, then for them to try to say, you do you and I do me, share that verse with them. For they are part of the body, they matter. And discipline will bring correction, my brothers and sisters. We will recognize that every layer is important. You matter. You're important. The coming days will bring movement. Let us not take anyone for granted. Let me direct your attention to these words, O Yashar'al, as I gradually come to an end. Luke 9, 46 through 48. Luke 9, 46 through 48 reads, and a reasoning arose among them, who might be the greater of them. And Yahusha, having seen the reasoning of their heart, took a little child and placed him by his side, and said to him, whoever receives this little child in my name receives me, and whoever receives me also receives him who sent me. For he who is least among you all, he shall be great. We rejoice in what we learn from the Almighty Father. We rejoice in the strength and maturity that we receive. But sometimes in our growth, sometimes in our amazement and understanding, we neglect or we forget those who may be interpreted as least among us. Do you not know sometimes the least among us may be the hungriest? They're just being overlooked. It is important to see layers of wisdom. The layers of wisdom in the words from the Almighty Father. The words of wisdom when the scriptures become alive. Let me take you to Ephesians 5. And someone say, he goes there a lot. I do. For such a time as this, just as a lighthouse will flicker a light into the sea in the middle of darkness and continue until the ship reaches safety. Warnings will chime until they're no longer needed. There will be times where I will repeat things. Let them stir within you, my brothers and sisters. Ephesians 5, 17 through 21 reads, so do not be foolish, but understand what the desire of Yahuah is. And do not be drunk with wine, in which is loose behavior, but be filled with the Spirit, speaking to each other in psalms and songs and praise and spiritual songs, singing and striking the strings in your heart to the Master, giving thanks always for all to the Almighty One, the Father, in the name of our Master Yahusha Messiah, subjecting yourselves to each other in fear of the Almighty One. My brothers and sisters, the fear of the Almighty One And I echo this verse, and I echo it often. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise discipline. Fools despise wisdom and discipline. Let us fear him to bring a pause so that we don't be over anxious, overreact. In so doing, we ignore layers of significance to this body. Subjecting ourselves because Yahuwah is in each of us. Fearing Yahuwah, I will fear Yahuwah in you. As you will grow to fear Yahuwah in me and any other brother, as he worked in us, through us, one towards another, the spirit of Yahuwah that is in us, the spirit of set-apartness, will bring about pause where we know how to talk with one another, how to talk to one another, how to work and subject ourselves to one another. When he chooses to speak through the brother or the sister, the others remain silent. Listen to those words again, even if you have to rewind this video, my brothers and sisters. For many fail to realize what it is saying. And though the 5th chapter of Ephesians literally is speaking about a relationship between a husband and wife, and it's to point them to consider how Yahusha treats the assembly. So many may miss that and say, oh, he's stretching it. He's adding to the word. Remember, Yahusha said in John 4th chapter with the woman at the well that the water he gives is everlasting water. So I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, beyond the black and white, if we open our minds and spirit to Yahuwah, we can go deeper and deeper and recognize the everlasting water coming from the word of Yahusha to help us to understand what he means by subjecting yourselves one towards another. Subjecting as he is lead one or the other. Pray and watch, my brothers and sisters. End times are beginning to get intense. A great storm is coming that will require us to recognize the importance of layers and better. The different layers that comprise the body of Yashar'al. Wisdom will prove that all layers collectively bring better. Therefore, escape the conditioning that causes us to be seduced into competing with one another. We don't have to compete. Let us seek to discern and be obedient. Let us pursue righteousness, my brothers and sisters, from Abba Yahuwah, and know what to yield to, whom to yield to, when he chooses to speak through one of his chosen. I pray that you leave knowing layers and better. I pray that you leave knowing the least is important. I pray, my brothers and sisters, that we realize we can only be successful when yielding to the living guidance of the Spirit of Yahuwah, which comes in Yahusha's name. Start talking about the least among you. And think about this, my brothers and sisters. Would you give a child a drill, a cordless drill, fully charged? Would you put it in the hand of a child and set them in the bottom of a boat? If you was focused on a journey to escape this wickedness? No. Not without instructing the child how a drill works. It's best that they don't even have it sitting at the bottom of a boat. Why? Because they'll drill a hole right in that boat and that boat will sink. Layers are better. But it's good to have that child with you because, as you know, as time progresses, the child will not always be a child. So though that child may seem to be the least, it will be the protege to preserve generation after generation after generation. My point is this, my brothers and sisters. Let's start looking at those who we think are the least among us as important and give them the attention that they need to strengthen them as Yahuah would have it, as he directs us. Let us be cautious and mindful that we do not fill their head with things we have not vetted, examined, and discerned and studied to be true. Let's beware of those habits that we are passing down and along to people. Them habits that have layers of wickedness. I once told the story, and I'm about to end. I once told the story of the pot roast, and let me say it again. I'll make it brief. There was 4 generations at a house for a feast. And the daughter watched her mother cut the end of a pot roast as she prepared it for the feast. A feast. And the daughter asked the mother, "Why are you cutting the end off the pot roast?" The mother said, "I cut the end off the pot roast because my mother did it." So the daughter went to the grandma. "Grandma, why you cut the end of the pot roast?" Grandma said, "I did it because my mother did it." It just so happened her great-grandmother was still alive. And you can find that more often visible these days, but that's another story. So anyway, the child goes to the great-grandma and says, "Great-grandma, why are you cutting the end off the pot roast?" Great-grandma said, "The only reason why I did it, I never had a pan big enough to put the pot roast in, the whole thing, so I cut the end off." Moral of the story, you can have layers of habits that are wrong or unlearned or not good that can promote inefficiency, maybe waste even. Let us be mindful and examine every layer, and together as we discover the discipline and refinement needed to make sure every layer is intact as Yahuah would want it to be, we then would behold better, a better you, a better me, a better Yashar'al. On that note, seek to discern what the Spirit of Yahusha has to reveal to you and be encouraged. Let us recognize our spirits can and will be stirred in the days ahead, and we will witness the accomplishments that the Almighty Father has in store for us. On that note, consider subscribing, like, share. Use the algorithm of YouTube and pass the information on so others can discover. So brothers and sisters, we can discover one another. We will soon enough come physically close to one another. Those who will fulfill the promises of the Almighty Father as it relates to the final Exodus, as it relates to the 144,000 in great multitude. Pray and watch, O Yashar'al. And I end by saying, Shalum. Shalom to you, my brother, my sister. And remember, you matters. You matter. You're important.